Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about this Ear Pro right here. So as you can see, these are the Peltor Rangeguards. I don't know if you can read that on there or not. See if it'll focus. There it goes. So these are the Peltor Rangeguards. I decided to give these a try because I wasn't happy with the way that my Howard lights, which are right here, the Impact Pro Sports. I did have these on my helmet and they worked fine. They weren't perfect, but they did a pretty good job. I was happy with them until I started setting up communication, radios and all that kind of stuff with the Ear Pro that was on my helmet with those Howard lights. So as you can see on the Howard lights, they have a little plug-in, an audio port jack right here. So you can plug in, you know, any sort of cable like this into them and then plug that into a radio mic or something to where you can use these as part of your communication, your radio setup. So one thing I noticed when I was using these is you would get a little bit of feedback whenever you're using stronger radios. Like say if I was using my one from work, or if you're using like a ham radio or something like that with a little bit stronger signal, you would get more interference to where it was really, really obnoxious. You could still use it, you just had to kind of get past that mental block of there being extra noise in your ear as you tried to talk. And I'm not good at drowning out other noise when I'm trying to talk. It distracts me. So I was looking for something different that would work a little bit better. And so one of the things I stumbled across, and this was actually mentioned in one of the T-Rex Arms videos when they were talking about communications, is how these Peltor Rangeguards actually block a lot of that interference. So when I heard that, I kind of perked up a little bit because like, that's something I've been dealing with, a problem with these, and I wasn't too happy about it. And just so you know, also the Walker Razors, which I have right here, also have feedback just as bad as the Howard lights. So these aren't any better. They're not shielded or anything either. So, and in that video, they talked about how that they weren't sure if these were shielded or not, but they acted as if they were. So I went ahead and gave them a try, and obviously, as you can tell, they fit on this the 3M, which this is made by Peltor as well. They fit on here just fine, just like the Howard lights did. I have a video on how to remove Ear Pro from this metal band and everything to set it up to this. And just so you know, you can just disconnect these little plastic tabs right here from these. And I will say these disconnect a lot easier than the Howard lights did, because the Howard lights, I usually Dremel them off because I don't trust this plastic tab right here not to snap off. So whenever you have to kind of pop this off, I don't trust these little tabs not to snap off, so I ended up just Dremel the metal because I'm not going to use it anyways. But that's why I did that in that video, in case you were wondering. With these come off a lot easier on the side. As you can tell, they don't wrap all the way around. Hopefully you can kind of see that, where they just kind of clip on, kind of like a C-clamp. But anyway, so I decided to give these a try, and boy, am I glad I did. So I'm not sure if these are actually shielded or not. They're not specified on Peltor's website. But there is, I don't want to say no feedback, but it's almost imperceivable. Like you can't tell that there's feedback whenever you're using these, even with the higher power radios like a Baofeng or like the one that I use at work. There's no feedback really whatsoever, at least not that I can tell. So if you want a good upgrade, or you want to be able to use your Ear Pro, just standard Ear Pro, cheap budget Ear Pro like this, with your radios, you know, then the same hookup, and I have a video on how to do that as well, with this type setup, and then, you know, connect this to right here. You can see there's a little port right there. This plugs in, and I'll show you. With just a standard flat one, so you know which kind of cable to buy, it sticks out a little bit. So it's in all the way right there. You can see how much it sticks out. So if that bothers you, you might want to get a different type. Also, if you get a curved one like this one right here, it'll fit in here as well, just barely, but know that it'll only rotate either to here or to here. So if that bothers you, you might want to look around for a different type of cable, but just know that. It's kind of recessed, which is a little weird. It's good for, I guess, if it's raining or something, water won't get in there, but it's bad for trying to connect the cable because it's popping out the front instead of the back like it was on the Howard lights. So that's just a little bit obnoxious. Also, if you already have your stuff set up to a Howard lights, the Howard light one connected on the opposite side, it actually would have connected to this ear cup over here. The Peltors are the opposite. The plug-in port is on this side. So that's just something to take note. But if you're wanting to just use your helmet as Ear Pro, or not your helmet, but your Ear Pro on your helmet as just Ear Pro, you're not interested in hooking up any sort of comms or anything like that, the Howard lights are still fine if that's what you have on there. But if you haven't bought Ear Pro for your helmet specifically yet, if you haven't chopped up a set, I would definitely get these over the Howard Lights. Now the Howard Lights, I will say one thing going for them is you can get gel cups. You can see on here, these are aftermarket gel cups. I think these are noise fighters, if I remember right. Get these if you have Howard Lights, are incredibly comfortable. If you wanted to save some money, I'll try to put links to these below. These are some knockoff brand, came from China. They're not noise fighters, but they're gel cups too. They're probably $10 cheaper on Amazon. These work just fine. Just know the noise fighter ones are nicer. You can tell they're not as squishy. Not a big difference. I like the noise fighters better, but for the price, these are just fine. One of the bad things with these Peltors, and at some point I'll try to find some that work well with it, but with these specifically, this isn't leather, it's some type of plastic material. It's actually very soft, and it's softer than what comes with the Howard Lights, so that's good. So I don't really need the gel cups, but it's just foam underneath there, so the hearing rating on these aren't as good as they would be with gel cups. Now I bought an aftermarket set of gel cups. I don't remember the brand. I'll try to find it and insert it here. But they didn't fit. So you can pop out this little ring and it pops out the entire piece of plastic that these cups are attached to. And then I tried to pop in the aftermarket ones. They weren't made by Peltor for what it's worth. But one of them fit perfectly. The other one just kept popping out. So I was super annoyed with that. So I just returned it and said, whatever, these are good enough. Whenever I start having problems with these, if I do, or they wear out or whatever, or if I want something more comfortable, then maybe I'll look at Peltors themselves. But at the moment, these work just fine. Now, I will say another thing, another reason, which is what I was talking about earlier. If you have not bought Ear Pro for your helmet yet, buy these. These are better than the Howard Lights for a helmet. And I'll show you why. So on here, hopefully you can see. Yes, you can. Okay, so on here you see these little cutouts right here and right here. That makes it to where it doesn't interfere with your stock whenever you're aiming, which is a big deal with this type high cut helmet. Now, if you get the Maritime that's actually cut a little bit higher up, it probably won't be an issue with either set of Ear Pro, but with this one, which is just your normal high cut, whenever you're using like LPVOs or anything like that, where you have to kind of smush your face down a little bit, your Ear Pro gets in the way generally with the Howard Lights. With these, they do not.
5. 4. 4.
Still a 1. And part of that is this cutout here. The other part is this cutout at the top. Whenever it's under here, it actually, as you can see, slides underneath the helmet to where it's actually even higher on your ears, which was a problem with the Howard Lights. At least with my head, maybe yours, if you got a taller head, it won't be an issue. But with the Howard Lights on mine, whenever they were on my head, they would come down too low and I couldn't get them high enough on my head. And that was the same for the helmet. They still worked good enough, but sometimes with my head being in the right position, you know, behind awkward positions or whatever, there would be a small little gap, just kind of where my cheekbone was, and it was kind of obnoxious. Now I wear double Ear Pro, so it doesn't really matter, but if you're not wearing double Ear Pro and you're only relying on these, just know that seal will be broken on this type ear set with that helmet. Versus on these, I've never had that problem, because these are smaller, they're lower profile. You can see how much smaller these are than those, and they're significantly smaller than the Walkers. These things are just massive. And so that makes them really, really, really nice for going with a helmet. One other thing that's worth mentioning, the sound quality on these, in my opinion, is not as good as the Howard Lights. You still get multi-directional, which you don't get with the Walkers for some reason, even though these are just as expensive. Sound quality on the Walkers, though, I'd say, if you're using these to listen to music or something like that in the audio port, these actually sound better with music. So for whatever that's worth, compared to these two. But the audio on these are somewhere in between the Walkers and the Howard Lights. So the Howard Lights are known for having pretty good quality audio for what they are. The Rangeguard doesn't sound as natural as the Howard Lights, but again, they're like 40 bucks. So what do you expect for that? And again, if you have any questions specifically about any of these, let me know. But one other thing that I wanted to talk about. So if you already have Howard Lights mounted on your helmet, if you saved the little headband thing, not this specifically, but the metal piece underneath, you can actually, like, from this. So I threw away my old metal band that was part of the Howard Lights because I also cut the metal, so I couldn't save it. But if you take the metal band that's left over from once you detach these things from the metal band for the headset, the way that they make it, you don't have to actually cut the band or anything like that. You just take everything off. once you do, you can actually reuse the Howard lights that were on your helmet with the Peltor headband. That's actually what, not this one right here, I don't know if you can tell the difference. This is actually the Howard lights when I just put this on. But this set of Howard lights was on my helmet, and it's now attached to the Peltor metal headband. This piece is just an aftermarket, and in case you're wondering, I added foam to these things. It's just this pluck foam I had left over from a rifle case. Just do one layer of this all the way across it underneath. It'll make it a lot more comfortable because these don't have good padding, and also this makes it where it's higher up on your head, so they fit better. So that problem I talked about earlier with your jawbone, there being a little gap there, that eliminates that problem. So, but it's nice to know that you don't have to just completely waste one set of Ear Pro because you chopped them up. You can reuse them with the metal band from the Peltors whenever you put them on there. So now I have a backup set of the Howard lights if I ever need them to give out to whoever's at the range with me, or if one set dies or something. But hopefully this helped y'all out. Again, these are a must, and you can spray paint them if you want them in different colors. You might be able to get them in different colors. I don't know. I'll have to look that up later. But whenever these things snap in and they're up, you can tell they are much better, more out of the way. And I absolutely love these way better than I did the Howard lights on there. And again, hopefully you guys like this kind of content. If you do, give us a like, give us a subscribe. That really helps people find us. And I'll try to put links below to all the stuff I mentioned to earlier, so you don't have to search around to try to figure out what I was talking about. But again, if you need Ear Pro for your high cut style helmet, these are the ones to get if you're on a budget, you don't want to spend a bunch of money. And again, these things are fairly cheap. So anyways, hopefully y'all appreciated this video. Have a good one.